Welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, episode 161 on August 16th, 2022. I'm Gavin Pickin, Senior Developer at Ortus Solutions, and I'm joined by another Senior Developer at Ortus Solutions, Dan Card. Welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to you. How's it going?
Morning started great, and we had a few explosions, but we're still here. So
Sounds good. Very cool.
Okay, well, first up, let's just thank our sponsor, Ortus Solutions, because without them, neither of us would be here. So they're the makers of ContentBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and all your favorite boxes out there. And we want to say thanks back to Ortus Solutions. If you guys want to do the same, buy some ITV tickets to come to the conference. We've got just a couple weeks away now. Remember, we got the pre-conference, we got the workshops, we got the actual conference. It's going to be awesome. And if you guys buy some tickets, come and join us in person. So that'll be awesome. So what are some other ways they can thank Ortus?
It's going to be a great time. Yeah, seriously, if you can make it down there, Houston actually is a lot of fun. The trip, the people that I've met have been absolutely phenomenal. Sorry, this is a total tangent, but one of the things I love about this is not just the tech you get out of it, but just the people that kind of surround Ortus, not just the employees, but just the community that show up. A really fun group. Anyway, other ways you can support us: like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. You can actually star and fork our repos on GitHub. We do have a CommandBox module. Of course, there's a box for that. It is the CommandBox GitHub plugin or a module from ForgeBox. What it'll do is actually go through and look at all your dependencies, and if you tell it to, it'll just star them all automatically, which is cool. Subscribe to the podcast. We have 3 of them, if you guys didn't know that or not. This is only one. Check out the other 2 as well. All right, we can sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts, which is new content. One of the training elements that Ortus has. There's our Box Life store. If you ever felt the need to walk down the street with a cold box swag on you, this is the great place to actually go. And they're actually, our designers are actually really pretty cool. There's some very clever stuff in there, which is nice. And also buy some Ortus books. We have the 102 cold box HMVC quick tips and tricks on Gumroad. Gumroad.co/coldbox tips. And as you can see on here, we have a wonderful look for our senior developer. Maybe I'm a little late on that.
Hey, it's okay. I just thought it'd be pretty funny to show one. Get your kids started young. This is senior developer and their onesie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
And if you actually, what you can do, see this all works out well. You buy the baby kits, with the senior developer. You're teaching them Spanish, and if you read to them the 102 cold box HMVC quick tips, you're really teaching 2 languages at the same time, and you're showing that you love them. Really, it's a win for everybody.
Man, we really got to get you on the marketing team, Dan. You do a good job. We want to also thank our Patreon supporters. We have 38 amazing Patreon supporters that are providing 100% funding for this podcast, the Modernize or Die podcast, and the other 2 on our Patreon site, patreon.com/Ortus Solutions. And goal number 2 that we have is we're trying to fully support the hosting of ForgeBox, because ForgeBox has a lot of great packages, and we use S3 for our hosting for that, and we're 44% of the way to funding that as well. So your Patreon support is going straight to those funds, and that gives Ortus money to do other things elsewhere, which is great, because we got lots of plans and lots of ideas and lots of things to do, including a conference.
Yeah,
okay.
Lots of problems to solve, which is cool.
Yep. So news and announcements. First up, let's talk about ContentBox 5.3.0 release. So we're being excited to bring you ContentBox Hybrid CMS 5.3, and this is the latest, the last release in this major series as we're pushing the next version of ContentBox version 6. There's a nice little blog post we have here. I'm going to share real quick here. But if you look up, you can see the different upgrade paths as well. It gives those some of the different information, and it's really evolving. We got a lot of things that we're still planning to do for it. 6.0 is going to be really good, and we're continuing to build upon ContentBox. So 5.3.0 is released. Go get it.
The link to the blog post is in the chat.
Yep. And then next up, we have a little update from CBWire.
Yeah, which a new release. So basically, what's kind of nice about that is trying to describe what CBWire is to people sometimes can be a little complicated. But this new release has a new updated example app to kind of show how it works, which is good. those of you that don't really know what CBWire is, the basic gist is if you have a single page application and you make a change, then that change has to usually go to the server, get some data, come back. And after that, in most traditional single page applications, JavaScript then kicks in and actually renders everything and makes the change to the DOM. In Wire and other server-side rendering, what happens is you get your request back to the server. The server doesn't return JSON, it returns HTML, in a sense, creating the new HTML that it needs, but you're doing it you're actually doing it in Cold Fusion, and then the LiveWire framework actually does all the DOM diffing and that kind of stuff. So you can actually get the same effect as you would from some of the single-page applications, but using Cold Fusion to do it instead.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's really neat. I mean, they're modeling after LiveWire from the Laravel group and PHP. There's a lot of cool things in it, and Grant's doing a great job. He's working really hard, and that example app now, if you just clone the repo, you'll have all the tests in there, but you'll have all the examples, and he's actually using some CBWire stuff to display the CBWire like descriptions and everything, so that it's like a self, sort of an inception type thing going on there. It's pretty cool. So if you clone the repo, you get the example app and everything, and if you want to contribute, you're ready to go. So pretty cool. Last week we also talked about the Lucee Roadmap. So Lucee Roadmap for Lucee 6, 5.3.9, and 5.3.10. And so they've been talking about that and what's coming up. And so we got a little sort of blog post from the Lucee org. So if you didn't catch that, it's worth checking out. And then next up we have WireBox Object Delegators are now born. So been working really hard with those, and it's kind of crazy trying to keep up with all these smart people at Ortus, way above my head, I'll tell you that. Talking about all these delegations and looking at other languages and how they do it and how to make it better, and it's just going pretty crazy, to be honest. And yeah, it's looking really slick. So it's kind of a neater way to do like injections or mix-ins, but way less boilerplate in your code. So it looks really cool. I'm excited to sort of see that, coming about.
So those of you that don't know what object delegators are, maybe you can check me on this, Gavin, but my impression is with WireBox, you can obviously inject objects, or you can inject variables from like your ContentBox framework or a system variable. You can inject objects, obviously, which is your dependency injection. What object delegators are is you can actually inject just the methods from other objects. That way you can use the methods in your own thing without having to do both the object and then reference the object and then the method and everything else. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of like shortcuts to get to other objects and their methods. And so a lot of times because the cool thing about Cold Fusion is if you do variables dot, my function alias equals, and then you can tell it, hey, go look in this CFC for this function, and you can basically just assign it to your variable, and then it will basically, anytime someone calls that, it's going to go out and get the other one and do it. And so we're delegating it, but we're using metadata, so it all gets handled for you. WireBox does all the magic, and you don't have to do any of the boilerplate. It's pretty slick, and they're doing a lot of cool things for that. But I'm excited to sort of see that and then figure out more use cases for it, because I think I've done that before myself, like the old school way. Not a lot, but now maybe this will make it easier. Instead of injecting whole objects, I'll just delegate a few things. So pretty cool.
Cool.
You want to tell us about some of the into the box updates we have?
I do. Coming up into the box, we're getting close. It's less than a month left until the start of the pre-conference. Now, for those of you that missed it, we basically have 3 different sections as part of into the box. We have our pre-conference, which is a virtual conference the week before the conference actually starts. There's a number of different sessions on there. We're still adding, actually, as demand for being part of it increases, which is great. We just added one today, as a matter of fact. The second session, or the second part of it, basically, is the one-day workshops that are happening on that Tuesday, and then the actual in-person conference starts after that. So the pre-conference schedule, which is the week before, is actually finalized on the website. The last 3 sessions that were TBA are now AID. Zach Spitzer is doing something on Lucee 5.6 and beyond, which is cool. Javier Quintero from Ortus is doing a whole thing on CB validation. If you're not sure what that is, basically CB validation. Whenever you send data back from your browser into ContentBox, sometimes that data, most times, if not always, that data needs to be validated through certain rules and checked for check for issues, make sure it conforms to what you want it to do. CD validation is a very easy way to create rules that your data can then get cleaned by, or at least have it filtered. And Gavin, you're doing one on why you should use, or when you should use third-party plugins versus roll your own code. Is that right?
Yep. So yeah, we've been waiting just for the last couple of spots to fill up, and we've been waiting for some key community members, and so we've finally finalized it so far. Basically so fresh, we haven't even had time to update the website yet, but I just shared my screen, so you'll notice that we've actually updated the schedule a little bit to have the pre-conference, the workshops, day 1 and day 2, all next to each other, because it was so hard to keep track of all the different dates and all the different things going on, and there's so much going on. So if you guys check that out now, and we'll put those last 3 into it.
Oh, actually, Scott said that you couldn't see it. Can you share your screen again and go back to the workshops for a second?
So you guys can't see my screen?
I saw it, but then Scott said that he couldn't, so I figured that was a good excuse to go back anyway. Can you go to the workshops for a second?
Yep. So on the workshop page here. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're saying sign up for the workshops. Basically, here we go. Scroll up for a little bit. There's 5 workshops happening. There's one that Lucee and Eric are doing, which is async programming and scheduling. Basically, asynchronous programming with things called futures and everything else, which are a great concept. They're new, a little bit confusing, and so having it come from Lucee and Eric as a combination would be a great thing. Whole thing on containerization and scaling your applications by John Clausen and Grant Copley. Then we have this one, which is a legacy code conversion that I'm doing with Alan Quinlan. And basically, it's taking old code or code that exists, and how do we make it more modern, make our lives easier. Brad Wood and Javier Quintero are doing a whole thing on TestBox, getting started with behavior-driven development and test-driven development. And then Gavin and Daniel are doing a whole thing on Vue.js single-page applications and mobile app with REST APIs. And that one, I believe, is either full or just about full, right, Gavin?
Yeah, they're all getting fuller for sure. Ours is pretty close. If we get a few more, we'll probably try and just make it a little bit bigger if we can. We don't want to turn anyone away if that's what they want. But there are 5 workshops. They are getting pretty close to full, though. So, guys, jump in and grab yours if you get a chance. Like I said, we're excited to have you there, and the in-person, hands-on training. Everyone that comes here loves it, and you make a lot of friends too with the Ortus people, but also the other attendees, and it's a great little community. So we see a lot of people coming back for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th workshops because they just love, finding out something new, learning something new.
I'm kind of bummed, actually. I'm glad I'm teaching mine. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great, but I would love to go to the container one, and I would love to go to the Vue.js one that you're doing, because I've done a lot with React. I've not done a lot with Vue, and having just basically discovered Quasar, which is based on Vue, I really want to dive into that because that sounds like a really cool thing as well.
Yep, for sure. Or maybe I'll try and record some of it so we can, share it with some of the other Ortus people at least. And
nice.
Yeah, we have the CF Summit training as well, which is going to be on Vue.js and Quasar and all that too. Right. Cool. Well, we have a couple new
sponsors, right?
Yep, a couple new sponsors. So we've got 2 new silver sponsors. So fresh. We haven't got them on the website yet. We're working on that. They should be there very soon. But TerraTech, the creator of the CF Alive podcast and the State of the CF Union survey, are a silver sponsor. And then we have another company. I'm not sure if you pronounce it or just say the letters, but WRIS Web Services. Yep, they develop improving web-based software applications for businesses looking to expedite workflows and eliminate legacy paper-based manual systems. And the cool thing is that they're not really trying to sell anything or whatever. They just want to make connections with the community, and they wanted to get to know a few more of the people that build a lot of the tools that they use every day. So that's kind of cool. So we appreciate both of them for sponsoring the conference. Again, without them, it wouldn't be possible to do this conference. And we have a big announcement coming tomorrow, Wednesday, August 17th at 8 a.m. So bright and early tomorrow, you should get an email, from the email list with our big announcement. So you'll have to check that out, and then we'll be releasing a blog post about it, I'm sure, as well. So check in for that.
I'm going to pretend that I'm in the know on that one. I have absolutely no idea what it is.
Yep, and I did see a message saying that Andrew Davis won't be able to make it to ITB this year. He says it's
come anyway.
Fun. Yeah, I think he's got some personal events going on that means he's not able to make it. But I know that we'll miss him, and we'll hope he can be back soon.
Yeah, Matt Clement said the same thing. Something about having a baby. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I know, but we still convinced them to enter the box pre-conference talk.
Pre-conference, exactly.
So we have them the very first day. So hopefully the baby's not that early.
Yeah. And Matt, hope we weren't just blurring your personal life all over the internet there. Sorry, I don't know if that was public knowledge or not. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Nobody listens to this anyway.
No, exactly. That's one of the nice things about being anonymous. You can say what you want. Of course, that gets me in trouble on Facebook too. Anyway, that's a whole different story.
Yep. So again, sign up for those workshops, and we hope to see you there very soon. Only a couple of weeks, man. Kind of crazy. Panic monsters are out and about.
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, they are.
New releases and updates. So we had didn't we just mention the ContentBox update? I guess we put it in the news instead. But yeah, so ContentBox 5.3 is out. But also we had, in case you missed it, the Lucee extension for images, image extension 1.2.0.1 and 1.0.0.44. That's being released as well. So, which
is good, because it's kind of funny when you start diving into like the real extensions and stuff. You kind of realize you're getting a lot lower in the programming. Like basically, like sometimes in Cold Fusion we're up here a little bit. And this is getting really down into the weeds, because it really looks like that this fixes a bug where it was checking if an image file was valid, but if it wasn't valid, it would keep the image thing locked. And I'm like, I never thought about that. I never thought you actually had to release the file again. It just sort of happens.
Yeah, and I think that was just one of those bugs. And, being a Windows developer, a lot of times we get that all the time. So, so one of the downfalls for sure. Okay, so coming up next, we have webinars, meetups, and workshops, and you want to tell us about the Ortus webinar?
I do. So coming up on August 26th, basically it's 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Eastern. It basically is just kind of a last push about what's coming up in Into the Box. So a lot of the Ortus core team will be there as they discuss all the great things coming up for you from Into the Box.
And Daniel decided to call that the hardcore team, because our core team has grown, so now we're the hardcore team. So. Okay.
All right, fair enough. The Ortus Hardcore team. I don't know if I'm part of that or not. That sounds really intense. Basically, going through the online sessions, the full-day workshops, and then the 2-day track in the in-person conference. It's informal. A lot of Q&A from the chat. Maybe some last-minute surprise announcements that I don't know.
We'll find out.
I was going to make some kind of flippant comment that may be real, maybe not, but no, they'll be real if we say them over the podcast.
Yeah. For sure. So, you can register for that one. And again, any questions you got, we'll be able to answer them there. And the hardcore team was like the original core team. So that's more like Luis, Brad, myself, and I think Eric and John will be attending there. So, but like I said, our core team has grown. We've got a lot of great members to our core now, like yourself. There's been a lot being added in the last year or so. But the hardcore team has been there for 4 or 5 years. So unless we come up with a better name for it, but maybe the old core team, I don't know.
The old core, old guys.
Yeah, the old guys. So.
I think I'm older than all of them, but that's okay.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that's so we usually call them we're not worthy. Is really what it is. No.
Yeah, and I'm just there because I'm hosting it. But anyway, so we also have the Hawaii CFUG group. So they're going to be doing a presentation on OOP and Cold Fusion. And so object-oriented programming, it's a common term in programming languages. And so this one here is going to be looking at how to do that with Cold Fusion. So they'll look at things like abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. So lots of cool things. And I'll share the link right now in the group here. And again, that's going to be coming up on August 26th as well. And that's 12 o'clock. So if you guys check out the Ortus one, you can check out the Hawaii one right after. So be a busy Friday for you guys.
As someone who those words mean a little bit, but not very much, if you don't know what those things are, go anyway. Because it's the kind of thing where having those things, you kind of realize, oh, I've been doing that anyway. I didn't know it was called that. What I'm finding recently, the past couple of weeks, is I'm learning, like, it's kind of funny. You hear a phrase and you're like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, now this makes a lot of sense. So if nothing else, go to figure out what those 4 things are so you can drop it at cocktail parties and look cool.
Yep, for sure. And I know that on CFCast, Nolan's series on OOP does go over all these things, and it's a really good, good series. So, highly recommend that one. And even if you do know OOP and everything, it's good to get a recap every once in a while. So that might be something.
You should do a Weird Al Yankovic take off of OOP. Because OOP, yeah, you know me.
Yeah, we can figure that one out.
I really need to get more sleep the night before I do these. Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Also coming up, we have Adobe Workshops. Join the Adobe Cold Fusion Workshop to learn how you and your agency can leverage Cold Fusion to create amazing web content. It's a one-day training, cover all facets of Adobe Cold Fusion that developers need to build applications that can run across multiple cloud providers or on-premise.
Yep.
For example, coming up on this Thursday.
Yep, we have a webinar August the 18th at 10 a.m. And so it's actually a webinar, and Mark Takata is going to be talking about making games with Adobe Cold Fusion. And we'll share the link there. But that one is just a 1-hour webinar. It sounds pretty intriguing. I'm kind of curious what he's going to cover in that. So that one is shared in the chat for everyone who's watching and listening. And then we have another one coming up with Mark Takata later in September too.
We do. That's on September 22nd at 10 o'clock Pacific. That's 1 o'clock Eastern. And that is on building custom Adobe Connect pods. So when I was first looking at this, I didn't know what a Connect pod was, but I forgot Adobe Connect is obviously their online meeting software. And so you can actually make your own custom pods and with Cold Fusion, and that is what this is about.
Yep, and then if we share my screen for a minute, you can also see that the meetus.adobeevents.com/coldfusion has some other ones coming up too. So there's one in November already scheduled, and in December. And the December one is pretty cool because it's a winter holiday special, a preview of Cold Fusion 2023.
That is pretty cool.
So,
the one before about Monaco.io looks pretty awesome too.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how the Monaco.io is going to work with Adobe Cold Fusion to build native mobile apps. So yeah, that one sounds interesting too. So we got a lot of.
Know were things until they were things.
Yep, okay. A lot of great content. So a lot of webinars coming your way. And then CFCasts. So CFCasts has a lot of great content, a lot of online video tutorials, and we just released a few more this week. So we've got another ForgeBox module of the week and a VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. But we also have another one from Pete. I always say Pete. Man, his name always messes me up. So it's Eric Peterson, but he always has EL Pete everywhere, and so I see that. And I don't know how many times
Pete Freitag a lot. It is kind of funny how that kind of
how it crosses over. So episode 12 of his Logbox 101 series is categories, and that's going to be another cool one. He's got a couple more videos left in that series, and we got a few more coming our way too. What else is coming?
We've got a couple things. One, the finishing up of that series from Eric Peterson. We got 2 more videos left. We also have more ForgeBox and VS Code podcast snippets, boxifying the third-party library coming from Gavin. And then we also have one that I'm looking forward to from Eric, again, not Pete. This is Eric Peterson, using ContentBox Elixir. For those who don't know what ContentBox Elixir is, basically it's Ortus's, if you ever use things like Webpack or anything else to create single-page apps with JavaScript, ContentBox Elixir. Oh my goodness gracious!
Sorry, people trying to
come in. I don't think
in.
That was to me, but I could be wrong. Dan, learn how to talk. Okay, good. All right, so ContentBox Elixir basically is a way of scaffolding JavaScript and Vue React apps, similar in a way that you would to Webpack, and so I need to dive into that because I haven't done it yet, and I don't quite know all the stuff. I say don't quite. I basically have used, the what is it, create React app, and gone from there. So diving in any deeper, it's good to have someone helping you out with that, which is what Elixir actually does.
Yep. Yeah, I like the fact that it takes Webpack stuff and makes it usable. So I know that we've been messing with Vite and some other stuff for some of the other projects, and I'm curious to see if ESS build will come into like ContentBox Elixir further down the track, because Webpack now is not cool anymore. There's newer, cooler stuff. Yeah, well, see, the big thing with Webpack and some of the other tools was that people who wanted to contribute could write stuff in JavaScript so they could contribute to the project. Then they realized that most people that can actually build things that add on to build tools are usually smart enough to build in other things, and JavaScript is really slow compared to some of the other items that you could be using, and so a lot of those other tools now are building stuff in like CSS and everything else, and basically it's pretty cool, but it's way faster, like crazy fast compared to things like Webpack and other JavaScript-based build products. So, so that's sort of like the new cool thing, and like Vite is a big thing that everyone's just loving on because it's milliseconds on the second of speeds. So,
what was the name of that one?
Vite, VITE.
Right.
But
Oh, as in like Viet.
Yeah,
German for like something.
I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong too, but
Oh, I just making name association. I have absolutely no idea how you say it.
yeah, and then I know that like ESS build is another popular one. So a lot of people are starting to go into those. So
I have it on good authority from Michael Bourne, but it's pronounced Viet.
okay.
I don't know if his authority is any better or worse than ours, but hey, it's another it's another triangulation point at least.
Yep, for sure. Okay, next up, conferences. So conferences and training. Let's get started with the first one. Redis Hackathon is going on now. And you're like, now? Like right now? Yes, right now. From now through August 29th, Dev has partners up with Redis for a community hackathon. So basically, anything that submits a valid project, including an official submission post published on Dev, will automatically be entered to win a variety of fantastic prizes, including up to a couple $1,000s in US. So the link will be shared in the chat here if you want to find out more about it. And again, we do have an extension, an Ortus extension for Lucee for Redis, and so you can actually build things right in ColdFusion with this as well. I don't know what the rules are, but if you want to get hacking, there's a couple of weeks left in August, so you can try that out. Okay, apparently it's a French word for quick, vite. So that's what Ryan Hinton says, and that's what they said. Michael said it was on their homepage. So
I had the right continent. Okay, so that's good.
Hope so.
But there's probably a bad time to mention that I took 4 years of French and won the French award in high school, huh? Yeah, it probably would be.
Probably.
Okay. Moving on. I didn't say I deserved it. I just said I won it. I was the only senior that year. Okay. All right. Coming up also after that, did you just do Docker or you did? Yes, the Docker all hands meeting.
Yep. Yep, that looks like it's coming up here September 1st. I'll share my screen. So it's a short one, just an 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's kind of like a bit of a mixer, an all hands, they say, so it gets the community and the staff together. And yeah, it basically, if you want to submit, you can submit for a call for speakers, and they have an unconference this year, the first ever virtual unconference.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
Pretty cool. It's good to see, and it's good to have the community interacting with the bigger groups too. So, and then next up we have the Into the Box pre-conference, and that's August 29th through September 2nd. So that's the week before the main conference. There's 2 sessions a day, 5 days in the week, so 10 sessions total, and those will be available to ITB ticket holders, and then those will be available for download by attendees so they can watch on the plane, is what I keep saying, but apparently there's only one other person who's dumb enough to watch those videos on the plane on the way there. But I think it'd be pretty cool to do that. So
as an idea, I think it's brilliant. It never occurred to me, nor do I think I would probably do it, but I think it's a great idea.
So yeah, the 10 extra sessions in addition to the normal conference, which Into the Box 2022, September 6th, 7th, and 8th. And as we mentioned, we got 1-day workshops and 2-day conference. So a lot of great stuff. And where can they go find out more information?
They can go look at intothebox.org, and they can find out all about rates, special prices, speakers, bios, session topics, all kinds of stuff. And if you look at it and you don't like what you see and you want to see something else, well, apply to be a speaker next year. We'd love to have you part of it.
Yep, for sure.
Okay.
So
coming up after that. Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
That's okay. So we have
Coming up after that, October 3rd and 4th, we have CF Summit, which is in Las Vegas and put on by Adobe, correct?
Yep. So it's going to be their 10th CF Summit. It's kind of crazy.
Nice.
So yeah, 10th CF Summit. Hopefully they'll have a nice party. They usually do. CFSummit.adobeevents.com is the place to go to get more information. And they still have the early bird pricing. So it's still $99 for registration, $199 if you want to take the professional certified training as well. And that includes 100 hours of video training. But they've also added some more things to the website, haven't they, Dan?
They have. As soon as I'm done tasting, thinking about the certificate, and there, I will tell you about them. They have had a number of things.
But the big one is that speakers are now being listed on their site.
Oh, thank you. I'm like, and it should be right in front of my face. The speakers are listed on the site. Brad Wood from Ortus, Luis, Gavin, Daniel are speaking from Ortus. That Daniel is not me. This is Daniel Garcia. Brad Wood, Luis, Luis and Gavin don't need an introduction. And also, the solutions on the list of the speakers announced. I don't know what that means.
So let me pull it up here. No, it's if you read from one line to the other. All the solutions are in the list.
Oh, good grief.
Dan's having a moment.
I am having a day. I am sorry. Yes, speakers have been listed on the website. Brad, Luis, Gavin, and Daniel from Ortus Solutions are on the list of speakers announced. I'm like, what solutions are listed in the bio? Oh, good job, Daniel.
Yep.
Okay.
So if we go
And by
to
Daniel, I mean me, not Daniel Garcia. Okay.
Yep, and so you'll see the keynote. So Joel Cohen's going to be speaking there, and then again featured speakers. So we got, some pretty well-known names there from the community. So we got Brian and Charlie and Dave Ferguson, David Byers. There's a few of the Ortus people, like we mentioned already. Kevin Wright's going to be there. Goose is going to be there. Matt Gifford's making the flight, I guess. Pete Freitag, Raymond, and then I've heard of Nickel. And Uday, I just don't know them as well, but yeah, a lot of great speakers, and they're adding them all the time, so keep an eye out for that, and remember, register ASAP so you can get in there and save your early bird pricing there. Just keep the early birds flowing. So very cool. So it's good to have a few Ortus people representing as well. So
I was just reading bio on there. Joel Cohen is actually a screenwriter. Is that what he was?
Yeah.
So I didn't know he was, but I'm reading that. He's written 35 episodes of The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so go check out cfsummit.adobeevents.com if you want, and you can find out more about the speakers, including the keynote. So that'll be kind of interesting. Very cool. Then we have the Ortus. The Ortus CF Summit training is right after that. And that'll be me and Luis. And what will we be covering, Dan?
You will be covering the ContentBox 02 Mega Hero, REST APIs, and the Vue.js mobile app. That's on October 5th and 6th. It's after CF Summit is over. The price is $7.99. That's the early bird pricing. Some of you that have noticed that may be a little bit of a price jump. We are trying to keep it as low as possible, but basically everything is like doubled in price. And so the price has not doubled since last time. It's gone up a little bit, but we are keeping it as low as possible. But that's the reason behind it, is that price is going up everywhere. But definitely sign up for it. It is worth it.
Yep. Early bird pricing is only good for, I think, a couple more weeks. So as soon as Into the Box is over, the price goes up. So get your early bird pricing ASAP.
Absolutely. You know what's interesting about this is you actually look at this and you say, okay, $7.99. Not that this needs a sell. I mean, this is a class that actually goes literally from zero, knowing nothing about ContentBox up to the Mega Hero. If you added up, if you added up the number of hours that your team is going to save using ContentBox as your API source versus using the spaghetti code or whatever else you may be doing now, it is more than going to pay for itself, which may be an interesting argument for the bosses and everything else. But you start doing math, how many hours of work in labor is that? And are we going to save that much in labor down the road? And if the answer is yes, then come to the conference.
Yep. I mean, that's the cool thing about it is, you can learn a lot of this by playing by yourself and everything, but you get the hands-on experience in these workshops. You walk away with an app built, you have all that there. So you have a great starting block, and you have a good understanding. And if you've got any problems or you get stuck, there's me and Luis, and we'll probably have a couple of other helpers in the room too, to make sure that everybody keeps up, everyone gets moving, and no one's left behind. And you come out of there with a working app, and that's our goal. There's not 100 people like there might be in some other workshops. There's we usually try to aim on 10 or 11 people, so that way we can make sure everyone has that personal touch and make sure everyone's questions are answered and no one gets left behind. So again, it's fun, and then we're in the area. It's an awesome suite. We'll have lots of fun right on the strip too. So usually we try and catch dinner afterwards and hang out with the group as well. So you get to pick the brains of some of these Ortus people, so that's always a benefit too.
The hardcore Ortus people, as we said.
Yeah, that's Daniel's nickname. I'm not sure if that'll fly, but we'll see. And then next up, we have Into the Box Latam. So right after CF Summit in October, in December, we've got Into the Box Latam. December 5th or 7th, we're getting information. And as soon as Into the Box is over, we will be talking lots more about Into the Box Latam as all the information gets finalized. And then CF Camp, no CF Camp this year, but hopefully summer 2023 if all goes well.
Just to reiterate, LATAM stands for Latin America, and the Into the Box LATAM 2022 is actually being held in El Salvador. So.
Yep, I think it's in San Salvador, El Salvador.
That makes sense. And if you need more conferences, this site, it is confs.tech, has a huge list of conferences for almost any language or community. Check it out and tell them we sent you. And then they'll say, who? Just kidding.
Yep,
right.
For sure. Okay, blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. You want to get us started with
I do. Coming up, this is on the 16th. This is a tweet by Grant Copley from Ortus CBWire, now with included examples. Have you seen the easy reactive form validation? How easy reactive form validation is with CBWire. Now you can with the included examples in the CBWire repo. GitHub.com/coldbox module, and go to the CBWire one.
Yep, It's got the little examples built right in, so you see the component code, the template code, and your examples right above it. It's all built into that new repo. It's pretty slick, so I like that idea. Really cool. Okay, so next up we have a blog from Ben Adele, and that one is going to be covering, again, one of those things where you've been using it for a while, but you don't know the name of those design patterns. So Ben's talking about Strangler. He's building a feature flag system in Cold Fusion, and Strangler is the name of the design pattern, basically. It's called Strangler because of the Strangler design pattern that it uses.
Which I need to read that because design patterns are fascinating. They've always been fascinating to me. I don't quite get them. I mean, I get them, but until you're using something, then you're like, oh, that's what that means.
Yep. So in the Strangler pattern, basically, because you're using feature flags, you can have something turned on or turned off, but you can also have it turned on for a small amount of people. And so when you release it, maybe 10% get the new feature, and then you up it to 20, and then 30, and then eventually you'll get to the point where it has almost 100%. And the other one, your old code, you strangle the number of people going to that one until basically you've killed it off, and that code is no longer accessed by anybody. And so that's why it's called.
So you start strangling this one, and then kind of let that one go, and then start strangling this one over here.
Yeah, so basically, you just let a few people use the new system, and so that's one of the things with feature flags is it's not just an if statement. And Brian Rinaldi is talking at the pre-conference about Launch Darkly, which is what Ben loves, but it's too expensive for a side project like this blog.
Yep.
And so this is why he's been working on this, and he's had a quiet month on the blog, he says, and unfortunately much is really just stress and a rabbit hole building this feature flags thing. But I know he's got some personal stuff going on with his moving and everything, so he's been a busy guy. But this is a really cool one, and you can see his Strangler project up on GitHub. So he's basically built his own little feature flag system. So pretty cool.
So if you have ever done the ever popular CF, person logged in person.email address equals blah blah blah, do this code, you have actually participated in your own version of strangling, and congratulations.
Yeah,
you just didn't know it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's one thing about feature flags, and there's a few different ones out there, but yeah, the ability to filter based on some random number, or filter based on they use our email address, or they like a public email address, and you can do all these different things to limit the code. But essentially, at its core, it is an if statement. It's just the rules of when that if statement is shown is a little different. But
yeah, that can get very complicated.
So
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's something I want to play with a little bit more. I think we're using Unleashed for a few people. It's you can privately host it, and so that's one of the ones we've used, Unleashed. But yeah, I'm kind of curious, and I really looking forward to Brian Rinaldi's session about Launch Darkly and our pre-conference. So what do we have next?
Next, more details about the ContentBox 5.3 release by Luis. This is the blog we have up on the Ortus Solutions blog. It's talking about how basically it is just the next major release, and then we're looking forward to we're kind of pivoting. This is the last major release, I believe, for 5.45, and then we'll be looking at the next major release being for 6. And then but this is the guide with the whole release notes. I just pasted it up there on the chat.
Yep, and it's a good one there. So we were a little light on some news from the blogs and tweets. So this week I also added one in from Twitter, and so this one is what's a good typeface other than enter, was what someone asked on Twitter, and they had 300 replies, and so they've gone through and highlighted some of the cool ones. So you never have enough fonts, right? And so the cool thing is here, he's gone through and spotlighted some of the best ones, and they say if they're free or not. So we've got Man Rope, Brittany Sands, and so there's quite a few good ones in here. Some of them are paid, so pay attention to those too. But if you're looking for a new font, you want to change it up a little bit, there's some good examples here. And so he's gone through and given a little report. So if you're looking for a new font you want to play with, you're bored, want to change up your font, now you can. So
Now you can.
yep.
You look at some of these and you're kind of like, all right, I don't quite. I guess I never thought that there were. I mean, there were almost infinite ways to write a letter, evidently, and that's what this comes down to. Is because it's just there's so many fonts. Each one makes a letter a different shape.
I know. I like it when you put in you take a picture of something because you're trying to figure out what font it is and upload it to one of those sites that tries to identify it, and it finds like 3,000 fonts because they're all the same.
Exactly, and you're like, this could be Arial, or it could be the Vit, or whatever. This one's called Vit. It's great.
Yep.
And it's from Swedish. Just kidding.
Yep.
All right, another blog by Luis. This is talking about Redis support native in Lucee and CFML. There's the Ortus Redis extension 2.0.0 is released. Basically, what this does is it gives support for interacting with Redis, obviously right into Lucee natively. Okay, it's a major release. This has been in the works for over 9 months. It scales better. Basically, it helps your site scale better via Redis. And it brings real-time messaging into this as well with the Redis pub sub. So I guess that's short for publish and subscribe.
Yep. Another design pattern there.
Say it again.
Another design pattern.
Another design pattern, exactly.
Yep.
Is it called pub sub or is it something else?
I think it's I think some people call it pub sub or they call it the subscriber pattern.
Subscriber pattern. Gotcha.
Publish, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's pretty cool, and that's being released as well. And then if you do have a 1.0 license, you will need to upgrade your licenses for the 2.0 ones. That is one of our paid extensions, but it does work really nicely. And adding the real-time messaging with the pub sub is pretty slick. I know that's been a big request to get that updated from our clients and our own internal teams. So that's being completed.
Now, do you know anything about that? Is that meant to be kind of like could that be a substitute for WebSockets?
It actually is WebSockets, yeah.
It is WebSockets. Okay, gotcha.
Basically. And then, because we've done some stuff with RabbitMQ, and it has its own WebSocket connection, and we've tied into a couple of things. Brad's done some stuff on Stomp, which is a way to communicate with it. But yeah, having Redis doing the pub sub stuff allows you to use that instead. So if you wanted to use that instead of RabbitMQ, you could use that for your pub sub, and I think Redis even has some basic queuing in it too. But anyway, we've been adding lots of things to it, but the pub sub is the milestone piece of that release, I believe. So
cool.
Very cool. Okay.
Nice.
Next up, find a job. So up on getcfmljobs.com, I'll share my screen. So we got a few new jobs. So we've got a Cold Fusion developer at remote in Canada. We've got a Cold Fusion developer part-time in Washington, D.C. And we also have a web data developer at Clinton, New York, or remote as well. So quite a few jobs listed in here. Again, you can get more details. You can post a job for free through the site as well. And it does scrape most of the major job sites. So if you have listed a job elsewhere, it'll probably show up on here as well. And if you want to see what's happening on the job site, get CFML Jobs on Twitter, and you'll get all the instant notifications when things are read in. So 120 different positions listed here over the last several months. So still a lot of job opportunities out there. And we have a few more too in our list. So if we look here, we've got one from Ortus Solutions. Obviously on our site, we try and keep that team growing. We've always got more and more support. But we've got a couple other too. Do you want to give us that?
Yeah, we do. So Tomorrow's Guides is a UK-based publication looking for a senior Cold Fusion developer. Here's the website for that. It's Tomorrow's. Well, it's in the chat, but it is tomorrows.co.uk /jobs.cfm. And then there's another one called Hamilton, which I don't know where that is. I mean, I know that there's a bunch of Hamiltons. It's probably not working for, one of the founding fathers, I'm guessing, but it could be, whatever.
Hamilton College.
Oh, Hamilton College. That's in upstate New York, right?
Yep, Clinton, New York.
Okay.
So that one was actually one of the ones listed from Get CFML Jobs.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Cross-pollination there. So yep, but we just wanted to spotlight those ones. So thanks everybody for giving us those links. And if you're looking for a job, that's a great place to start. So
and now this is moving on to the ForgeBox module of the week.
Yeah, let me just change the picture here. Woo. Okay, so since we just released the Ortus Redis Cache extension version 2.0, that is our module of the week this week. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. I'm gonna show you the screen for those watching, but it's really cool that the native support there. And again, you've got the cache put, cache get, and all your cache actions in here. But I'm going to see if I can see some more of that, the pub sub stuff here. So the cool thing is here, you can get the native cluster functions like get cluster nodes, get connection pool, get provider. You got the publish and subscribe. So you can see those channels. So those WebSocket channels coming in there too. So yeah, a lot of great stuff here. And if you want to find more about Redis's pub sub, you got right in here to the documentation. And so there are a few other Redis ones out there, but the cool thing about the Ortus extension is it's fully supported. So if you have issues getting it running or getting it working, that's part of the support contract. We can help you with that. And it's just natively in there. You don't have to worry about loading jars on the fly or anything else. The Redis extension takes care of that for you. So
nice.
It's really a cool little module, and it's nice that Lucee gives you the ability to just create those extensions, and it's a nice option. And of course, if you're clustering your servers, this is great for your sessions too, to make sure that your sessions that live across the cluster, you can use Redis for your session storage.
True, very true. Yeah, having them locked into one instance, it gets a little complicated and not working very well. Does not work very well.
Nope. I mean, some people use the round robin stuff or sticky stuff, but if things are disappearing on the fly and everything, then you really want to use a proper caching solutions. And the Couchbase extension is pretty popular. MongoDB is getting there, but Ortus Redis extension is probably the most popular one right now. It's it's really nice to be able to have a nice small little Redis Docker image spun up and just connect to it, and away you go. So
cool.
Very cool. So that's available up on ForgeBox, and then you can find out more information on the Ortus Solutions website. Okay, next up, hints, tips, and tricks of the week. So this one here, speaking of conferences and panic monsters and presenting and everything else, Eric Peterson recommended we talk about presentation mode. So this is just a pretty simple little extension, but what it does is allows you to, focus directly on your code. So there's a couple of settings you can set, and so when you basically toggle it into presentation mode, it gets rid of all your little side pieces and blows up your code to be a zoom level. They recommend here of like 4. So that way when you're sharing your code, it's just presentation mode. Now for those, if you didn't know, there is a screencast mode built into VS Code, and there's a YouTube video, and I'll try and get the link in there for later. But if you look up screencast mode for VS Code, it's actually built in, and when you type, you'll actually see the little characters pop up on the screen, and so that way people can see the shortcuts you're taking, but it also shows you some fat fingering too when you're doing it wrong. But
yeah, which is always fun.
But yeah, for the shortcuts and everything, it's kind of nice to see which characters you're holding, etc. So that's a good one. So these two work great together. So
I think I found it. I just pasted it in.
Okay, cool. Screencast mode. Nice. So I'll put that in the show notes for everyone who's listening as well, so that way you get all the good details. But yeah, so I know that we got a lot of things coming at us, and I'm excited to get into presentation mode. So
that works.
Very cool. And remember, if you guys have your own VS Code or ForgeBox tips that you think we should be covering, send it to us in a Slack channel, Box Team Slack or a CFML Slack. Just ping myself, and I'll make sure we get into a little setup here, because obviously we want to keep showing new ones, and sometimes the best ones are the ones we don't know about yet. So that's why we do this section, and community feedback and support has helped drive it for so long. So okay.
Sure.
So next up, we want to thank all our Patreon supporters. So obviously without them, we couldn't do half of this stuff, right? So we just want to say, thank you for personally supporting our open source initiatives, because that allows things like ContentBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, TestBox, and all the other boxes to get that continuous development they need, because the funds that you guys are sending to us help pay for this podcast and help pay for our ForgeBox hosting, and those things are really important, because we only have so much money, and that it's better if we can spread it around on other projects. So your support goes directly into supporting those open source projects and initiatives,
which you can do if you go to patreon.com/Ortus Solutions. You can support us on there. We have several packages, including a discount package where if you actually do an annual membership and pay for the year up front, then you can save 10% and still get the same level of rewards and And you don't have to tell anybody that you get a discount. Basically virtue signal that you're a thing, but don't tell them that you did the discount route. A couple things you can do: bronze packages and up. You get ForgeBox Pro subscription, as well as a CFCasts subscription as a perk for your Patreon on subscription. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge in the community website, and all Patreon supporters have their own private forum. Access on the community website as well. Patreon supporters have their own private channel across the Box Team Slack. We also want to kind of put on this just as a reassurance that we do still monitor the other channels that are on there. The thing about the Patreon support, it's usually a speed thing. It's not that we're going to ignore anybody that's in the other things, but Patreon usually it's like that's on and may get you a little attention a little faster.
Yep, and we also give you a little bit of private information. So when we have those live streams, we'll give you information about that. And if there's any other surprise announcements, we'll try and give you guys a little direct access, just earlier information there. So we try and use that for those types of things.
And plus, if you want to, you can actually as a Patreon, you can get access to the live streaming like Coding with a Kiwi that Gavin's been doing recently.
Yeah.
Basically, so if you like, looking over at Gavin's shoulders and pretty much yelling at him while he codes, become my Patreon. It's a good time.
Yep, and we'll be doing other live stream things. And right now, before Into the Box, it's kind of Panic Monster time, so I've put those on hold for now. But after the conference, we'll probably do some more of those, and again, we'll do some more, open office hour type things and everything for the Patreons to say thank you. So get live access to those streams. So definitely a perk.
And you can access that community at community.ortussolutions.com that we were just talking about, and you have access to all the conversations and reference and some of the reference things and everything else that are on there that is located in the community.
Yep.
And then we want to thank our newest Patreon.
Yeah, Richard Herbert.
Richard Hebert, yeah.
Yep, and so
I love Richard.
Yep, and so Richard signed up, and we want to just make sure we spotlight that he is new to the list. We have a pretty long list here, and as we mess up their names, some people might miss that, so we wanted to let you guys know that Richard's joined the team, supporting us as a Patreon, and we want to make sure that he gets that little bit of special attention. So we definitely appreciate his support and all your support. Good guy. Yep. So you want to go ahead and read off the names?
I do. I want to say thank you to all these wonderful people: John Wilson from Synapterex, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jonathan Perrette, Jeffrey McGee, Dean Motter, Phil DeBruin, Joseph Lamore, Don Bellamy, Jan Yannick, I've lost my place, Lakshmi Turtahadi, Brian Gindanelli, Carl Van Staten, Jeremy Adams, Didi Lesnicki, Matthew Clemente, Dino Garcia, Scott Steinbeck from Agri Tracking Systems, Ben Liddell, Richard Hebert, again. Nice. Okay, Brent DeLine, Kai Koenig, Charlie Earhart, Jason Dager, Sean Oden, Matthew Darby, Ross Phillips, Edgardo Cabezas, Patrick Flynn, Stephanie Monge, Kevin Wright, John Wish, and Peter Amiri. If you would like to be on this amazing and illustrious list along such esteemed names, check out patreon.com/ortussolutions.
Yep, and you can see an up-to-date list on all of our sponsors on the Ortus Solutions website at ortussolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. And I just posted that in the chat. But another busy week. Again, just a couple of weeks to Into the Box, so keep an eye out for that special announcement tomorrow morning. Make sure you sign up, get your Into the Box tickets, sign up for the workshops before we fill them up, because we're hoping that we'll be really filled really soon. And can't believe just a couple of weeks in the pre-conference and the conference. Whew, Panic Monster, full alert. So, if you haven't seen it, the TED Talk on the Panic Monster is pretty.
I was just going to say, maybe we should give some context to the Panic Monster.
Yeah, I'll have to find that and add it to the show notes too. But if you search on YouTube, you'll probably find it pretty quick.
Yep, here it is. Inside the Mind of the Master Procrastinator.
Yep.
Let me get that link. There we go.
Yeah, it's a great talk, but it's definitely the way it all feels when you're trying to do 3 presentations and a workshop before the conference here in a couple of weeks. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Being smart.
Oh, I don't know about that. If I was smarter, I would have figured out how to do this a long time ago.
How to do this better, exactly. I'd be making it look so much easier. Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week. And again, don't forget, a couple of good webinars coming up, a lot of pre-conference stuff, so enjoy, and see you soon.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.